Good afternoon. Welcome to the October 7th special meeting of the Oceanside City Council. Special time to 4 o'clock. I'd like to go ahead and ask our city clerk to call roll, please. Mr. Navarro?
Mayor Sanchez.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Joyce. Present. Councilmember Figueroa.
Present.
Councilmember Weiss. Here. Councilmember Robinson.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilmember Weiss, could you please lead us?
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started first with consent item. That is item number 2. There's a motion to approve. There's a second. Please vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Thank you. We are now on our 2 public hearing items. We're going to go ahead and get started with item number 3. Staff recommends City Council and Community Development Commission, number 1, adopt a resolution certifying an environmental impact report for the Oceanside Transit Center redevelopment and associated mitigation monitoring and reporting program. Number 2, adopt a resolution approving a general plan amendment to change land use designations from downtown, coastal transportation and utility, coastal residential high density, and coastal general commercial to specific plan. 3, introduce an ordinance for zone amendment to change existing zoning designations from downtown district, that is public transportation and railroad, and high-density residential, public utility and transportation, office professional, coastal, and medium-density residential coastal, to specific plan in consideration of the OTC specific plan. Adopt a resolution approving local coastal program amendment. Number 4, adopt a resolution approving vesting tentative map, development plan, and regular coastal permit for approval of the Oceanside Transit Center specific plan and redevelopment of the Oceanside Transit Center into a mixed-use development project consisting of an integrated intermodal transit facility, multifamily residential units, office, and hotel uses on a 10.15-acre site at 235 South Tremont Street. I'd like to go ahead and open this public hearing and request disclosures from council members regarding constituent contacts and or correspondence.
Staff, applicant, and public.
Staff, applicant, public, both in person and emails.
The same, plus staff, yeah.
I met with staff, talked to the applicants, and met with many public members.
Staff, public, and applicant.
Mr. Navarro, are there any correspondence and or petitions?
All correspondence was forwarded to the council prior to today's meeting.
Thank you. We're going to go ahead and begin with a presentation by Ms. Darlene Nicandro, our Development Services Director. Ms. Nicandro?
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor, council members. Tonight I'm presenting to you, this afternoon, I'm presenting to you the proposed Oceanside Transit Center redevelopment project. The mayor had already outlined what the proposed recommendation is from staff. So first, some background. The existing Oceanside Transit Center, outlined here in red, is located at 235 South Tremont Street, consisting of about 10.15 acres, is located in the coastal zone, a portion of which is within the downtown district. Has currently rail and bus service provided by NCTD, Metrolink, Amtrak, and Greyhound. In 2016, the NCTD Board of Directors adopted a policy to pursue development of some real estate holdings, including the OTC, with the following goals: to reduce automobile reliance, increase transit ridership, create jobs, create affordable housing. So Toll Brothers Apartment Living was selected through a competitive process. The photo shown here is the site as it exists today. The proposed project consists of the redevelopment, which is a mixed-use transit-oriented development with integrated intermodal transit facility, and it's based on the proposed OTC-specific plan. There's a number of requested entitlements that are listed here on this slide. In terms of land uses, currently the general plan, you could see that on the example on the left, the existing land use, and then the proposed land use for the general plan and local coastal program amendment would be to remove the downtown from the designation, and as shown here, it would establish the OTC specific plan as part of the implementing document of the LCP, as well as for the zone amendment, which I will go to the next slide. You could see here that there's the existing coastal zoning and the existing downtown district zoning, and that would be changed to specific plan as well. The specific plan is a regulatory tool to implement policies of the general plan in a defined area. It establishes land use regulations, development standards, and design guidelines. Listed here is the purpose and objectives of the OTC project, which includes promoting economic development in the coastal zone, increasing availability of housing at various affordability levels, and improving the character of the surrounding community. This slide shows the proposed site plan, and I will go in clockwise order, starting with number 1, being the boutique hotel. 2 is a parking structure. 3 is the community room. 4 is residential apartments with affordable housing. So those are 2 buildings or 2 blocks. 5 is the bus station. 6, the transit plaza. 7, the NCTD customer service building. 8, the new NCTD headquarters. And 9 is our existing public parking structure, which would remain. Here's the overall development plan that provides even more details about the proposed project in terms of describing each block, the use, if it's residential, the number of market and affordable units, as well as parking. The project includes a vesting tentative map, and the purpose of the map is to subdivide the project site into 8 parcels to align with the development plan. Here's another look at the land use plan, providing specifically what the land uses would be for each block. So this slide focuses on the circulation plan. It's the proposed circulation plan for vehicles, and that's shown in the blue, and the buses circulation would be in the dotted green line. The red arrows, they show the parking garage ingress and egress points, and there are several enhanced transit areas throughout the southwesterly portion of the site. In 2019, a final project study report was prepared by NCTD to consider options for relocating the existing bus transfer station in line with industry standards. The project includes relocation of the bus transfer center to the southwest portion of the site, and by doing so, the distance between the bus transit station and rail platforms would be reduced, thereby shortening the walking times and improving visibility to patrons so that they can make their connections more efficiently. BIR analyzed the potential impacts of relocating the bus transfer center on the adjacent neighborhood and concluded impacts associated with transportation, noise, and air quality would be less than significant. Bus circulation is a frequent topic of discussion in regards to the project. Several public comments have been made regarding potential impacts of bus ingress and egress on the surrounding residents. that resulted from relocation of the bus transfer center, particularly along Michigan and Missouri avenues. So in response and attached to your staff report, NCTD had prepared a memo regarding bus circulation. To clarify for the record, the city does not have direct oversight of NCTD's bus operations. Thus, the proposed specific plan does not regulate bus routes. NCTD's bus route decisions are responsive to the daily operational conditions, such as local traffic patterns and temporary obstructions, and they're subject to change. Their goal is to provide safe, efficient, and effective transit services. This slide shows the proposed mobility hub plan. As you can see, there are several items going on. You will see the passenger loading zone, on-demand rideshare, several areas for bicycle parking, and then you can see where the enhanced crosswalks, pedestrian circulation, and shared car, bus, and bicycle circulation. The open space framework is designed to encourage an outdoor lifestyle appropriate to our city's coastal environment, offering access to various public, communal, and private outdoor areas and amenities. The rendering is shown here. Here's the transit plaza, public and private outdoor spaces, street trees and furnishing, decorative paving, and public art. We appreciate NCTD and Toll's collaboration on creating a better sense of place in this plaza. In terms of the landscape plan, one public comment that we received is in regards to the proposed project's removal of 2 very mature eucalyptus trees located in the city's right-of-way along Tremont Street. Here's a picture of that, one of the trees. Unfortunately, having eucalyptus trees near habitable structures, property, or people are unadvisable as they have a weak branch and root structure, which tend to fall and cause severe damage. They're not native to California and highly flammable. As such, the proposed trees would be removed and replaced with more suitable trees, and here's a sample palette of what that would include. In terms of design standards, the proposed design reflects Mediterranean and Spanish style, has an enhanced public realm as previously shown to you before, as well as special paving. In terms of analysis, the following slides represent staff's analysis of the project's consistency with such regulatory documents as the general plan, particularly in regards to land use, housing, economic development, and energy climate action elements. Land use, the proposed project is attractively planned and has a proper balance of land uses within the community. For housing, it encourages higher density housing and development along smart growth focus areas and promotes active transportation. For the economic development element, it expands employment, housing, and public amenities. And for the energy and climate action element, it promotes land use intensities that increase transit ridership and quality and frequency of transit services. Essentially, it implements a mobility hub within the smart growth opportunity area. In terms of the local coastal program, the proposed project would maintain existing view corridors through the public rights-of-way. It would promote coastal tourism through revitalizing coastal areas and upgrading visitor amenities, provides on-site parking for all new residential development. It demonstrates a collaboration with NCTD to improve alternatives to private automobile use, and encourages variety, creativity, and site-responsive design. In regards to compliance with the zoning ordinance, again, what is proposed would be the OTC-specific plan. The OTC-specific plan would take precedence over the city's zoning ordinance unless otherwise noted. It mirrors the proposed development plan, including setbacks, height, open space, landscaping, and parking. Community outreach was conducted in conformance with the city's enhanced notification policy. On the left, you can see the ways in which the applicant reached out to the community. And on the right, you can see that in June of 2025, the Planning Commission recommended City Council approval of the proposed project. In addition, on August 20th of this year, at a special meeting of the Downtown Advisory Committee, the DAC unanimously recommended CDC approval of the proposed project. The project was evaluated in accordance with the California Environmental Quality Act. As such, an EIR was prepared. Implementation of the mitigation measures would reduce impacts to less than significant levels for all identified environmental topic areas. The draft EIR was made available for public review, and those comments that we received were evaluated and responded to in the final EIR. Minor revisions were made to the final EIR, but none of them constitute significant new information, and EIR recirculation is not required. Once again, here is staff's recommendation for the proposed project. I appreciate your time. I'm here, and the applicant is here as well to answer any questions you may have. That concludes staff's presentation. Thank you.
All right, would the applicant like to present to the council at this time?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and members of council. Just a quick introduction from NCTD's standpoint. It's always a pleasure to be here in front of council. I was a little surprised this wasn't on consent agenda tonight, but we'll take some comments and see what we got to do. I will say I do really appreciate the council on this one. I know this has been a long project that we've been working on for several years. I appreciate the city staff, the city manager, and all the folks that have worked on this. And I do appreciate the Planning Commission support also. We presented there and answered a lot of questions about the project as we moved forward. Just kind of want to talk about NCTD's role as it relates to this project. We're really a neutral party in this. We support the project because we support the City of Oceanside. There is a ton of benefit that exists here for this project from a city perspective. From a public transit perspective, we already have a space at Oceanside Transit Center. We operate well at the Oceanside Transit Center. We, since 2016, and really probably going back to 2008, saw this property as an opportunity really for the city and other partners to grow that portion of the area, and we want to be a part of that as well. From our agency standpoint, we will obviously get a few transit amenities out of that, and we appreciate that in trade with some of the other stuff that we have from our current buildings. I really want to emphasize tonight that our support of this project is because we support the city. We support the growth that the city is continuing to see. We support what this project will bring to downtown, just as some of the other projects that have already been approved will. And we're just thankful for the council's attention and time tonight, and always thankful always for the public as well. And we always appreciate the comments that we receive, and we'll try to answer those as best we can. Thank you.
Thank you, and you will be here for the duration of the meeting, because I do believe there's some questions that will be asked by the public. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Arlene Tendick, and I'll be presenting on behalf of the applicant team. As Sean was saying, transit-oriented development was really the focus of this project for us. Oceanside is special because it's the first of 11 TODs that are in NCTD's portfolio. It's a huge responsibility and one that we've taken really seriously. Here, there are 4 primary objectives related to operations that you'll see woven into the project that we're going to speak to tonight. So the first was including transit-dedicated parking. Second was on-site management and OTC, and that's the relocation of their headquarters building from Mission over to Tremont. Third was improving bus-to-rail connectivity, and the fourth was a centralized ticketing and customer service. All of this was designed to really maximize this underutilized space and improve the transit experience. The revitalization at OTC is sort of already kicked off. So as you can see here, this fly-through of the tunnel, which was spearheaded by Jane Marshall and Main Street Oceanside's Arthritic site, is really just a taste of, I think, the vibrancy and what's to come. So right now you have this bright and colorful tunnel that leads into kind of a drab parking lot. And here's really what we envision that to be. As Darlene shared, we started our process several years ago. Our outreach kicked off in 2022, and through that process, we heard a lot from our neighbors in the community, as well as interested local, regional, and statewide stakeholders. The feedback that we heard really falls into these four primary categories. The first is transit operations, and really how do we look to deliver a uniquely Oceanside sense of arrival and improved transit experience. Second was circulation, not just bus circulation, as we'll certainly talk about tonight, but also multimodal vehicular, pedestrian, and bicycle circulation too. Third was enhanced community character, followed by sustainability. This right here shows the improved bus to rail connectivity. This was a big topic of conversation throughout our outreach, so I did want to touch on a couple key modifications that we made in response to the public. On the left, you can see what we initially presented in September of 22 at our first outreach meeting. It was more open, and so some of the residents on Cleveland had shared with us that they would prefer more shielding in that area. So we reconfigured the building as well as the landscaping in order to provide that kind of coverage from operations. This shows pedestrian circulation. The blue lines show widened sidewalks across the site. Those sidewalks range from around 8 feet to upwards of 34 feet, depending on what's going on in that particular location. The light green shows bulb outs and traffic calming measures that are designed really to protect the pedestrian and slow traffic because these are multi-use roads. And then the dashed lines are enhanced pedestrian crossings. Next, we layer in our short-term and long-term bike parking. So we worked closely with the cyclist community, not just here in Oceanside, but regionally, like I said, to really understand the needs for short-term and long-term bike security. Ideally, if cyclists are coming to the site to catch a mode, they would park their bikes in one of these parking locations. There are 119 extra public bike parking facilities, so far above what's expected of us. Through bicycle traffic, for not stopping at the transit center, would be encouraged to use either Coast Highway or the Coastal Rail Trail. We looked really closely at the Sandag Mobility Hub catalog to make sure that we were incorporating all of the best practices related to enhanced waiting areas and transit centers. So we have the blue dots here are identified as public art. Those 6 or 7 locations will really punctuate our wayfinding program. We have a new public bathroom in the central plaza, as well as enhanced waiting areas. Most recently, we did take a second look at these 3 areas identified here in blue, purple, and yellow. Initially, these were planter areas or retail seating. We wanted to make sure that we looked at them with fresh eyes to really enhance those spaces so that they would be more engaging and interactive for riders of all ages. So we did include in the purple, you'll see there's a little trail, some more enhanced seating. There's interactive signage for kids to learn more about trains or Oceanside history. We also have more kinetic and interactive art, including some musical elements within the blue. So really just looking at how is the public engaging in the site. Even if you're not catching a train, you could still pass from South O through the site into downtown and still enjoy what there is to offer there. Sometimes it's difficult to see how the site will come to life just by looking at the renderings. So we prepared this series of before and afters so you could see what it is now and hopefully what it'll be with your approval. This view here is of the centralized customer service area or customer service center. This was a big give to the community. Initially, this was incorporated in one of the residential buildings, but to have it be a standalone structure was really important to people. And this is the back of that building. Again, another aerial and what that will be converted into. This is just a social gathering area outside of the retail. Overview of the plaza. From this view, you can really see the enhanced pedestrian connectivity crossing Cleveland. Vehicular access to the parking structures, not just the residential parking, but the new public parking structure is limited to Cleveland. So we're really, the only vehicular traffic that you'll see on Cleveland are those people who are doing the dedicated pickup and drop off areas. You're not gonna see a lot of vehicular traffic there. And that's the centralized plaza. We talked a lot with local stakeholder groups like the Arts Commission and AARP and groups who are really focusing on activities for or opportunities for programming. So, looking at could we extend the monthly art walk and include something here in the plaza, just additional opportunities for activation. From sustainability, we did talk closely with Preserve Calvera and others. The residential portion will be 100% electric. We've also incorporated parking management and enhanced TDM features, including Pronto cards for all of the residents and retail employees. We've redone the landscaping after talking with Joan Bachman and others in the community. All of the palm trees have been replaced with canopy trees, and the hotel will be constructed at LEED Silver. Lastly, mixed income housing is what is funding all of these improvements. There are 82 low and moderate income units included here. This 15% affordable housing does exceed the 10% required within the coastal zone. Together with the Mission site, which we'll be talking about next, this represents almost 12% of the city's available RHNA numbers. We are delivering about $100 million of private investment into public transit. I was looking through the comment letters earlier today. There was one from former Deputy Mayor Chuck Lowry that stood out to me, and he made this comment about equity. And I think it's not every day that we have the opportunity to deliver a project that will go to benefit hundreds, thousands of people that rely on NCTD services to get to work, visit family, friends, go to the doctor, go to the Padres game, get to the beach. And so it's a really special project that not only delivers community benefits, but also provides safe and reliable transportation to a whole lot of people in our region. Thank you for your time, and I hope we've earned your support tonight.
All right, thank you. This is a public hearing. This is a time to hear from the public, and basically we'll hear first from folks who actually signed up to speak, and then after that we'll be opening up to see if anyone else wishes to speak. You did not actually have to have signed up to address the council. How many folks have signed up?
We have 24 registered speakers.
Okay, 24. So 2 minutes, right? So 2 minutes each, all right? If you need a little more time, I'll certainly work with you. So I want to go ahead and get started. First up is Kevin Ham, followed by Lane Stewart, followed by Scott Ashton.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. I am Kevin Ham. I'm here tonight representing OCNA, the Oceanside Coastal Neighborhood Association. OCNA strongly supports this project. However, we recommend a no vote on this project unless bus routing is changed, continue with the current outbound bus routing on Seagaze. First, the applicant wants to move the bus bays to the southern lot. This is a major cause of traffic, safety, noise, and pollution problems for the surrounding neighborhoods due to the challenges that it will create on Michigan and Missouri. Second, the traffic analysis is incomplete as there are many issues that need to be mitigated and haven't been mitigated. The traffic study seems to ignore the Coast Highway Plan, doesn't take into consideration the roundabout, the bump out at Missouri, and several other issues. Lastly, the plan has not addressed the negative impacts and mitigation needed due to over 1,000 new vehicles and 3,000 new daily trips on Michigan and in that area of Missouri. I will say that it was said earlier that in fact you don't have authority over directing where the bus routes will go. I can tell you personally, as Director of Economic Development in 2 cities, I have negotiated with NCTD and MTDB on these issues and required them to do that. There's not a requirement in your plan to have a community room. You have negotiated that community room into this project. You've shown recently how you've stood up for the public with regard to the Regal Center and increasing the community space, which is great on you. Great job. And similar to the Eddie Jones project, you looked at that, made some considerations with the developer of that project and moved forward. So In closing, the city has jurisdiction over this lot, and we ask that you move forward with changing the bus route. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Lane Stewart, followed by Scott Ashton, followed by Jim Sander.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. Lane Stewart, 425 South Tremont Street. I urge you to vote no on the Transit Center redevelopment as the design currently stands. This is a public safety issue due to the projected increase of traffic on Tremont Street. The city and the developer designate Tremont Street as a local street, and as this document from the city shows, the city rates local streets to handle 200 to 1,500 cars a day, whereas this traffic study by Stantec that prepared the traffic analysis for Toll Brothers shows the local street as 2,200, and then the proposed, which is 700 vehicles more than the city traffic guidelines show. The traffic analysis states that traffic will increase to 3,300 ADT, and this is double the city maximum. And it also shows that analysis is based on the Coast Highway being 4 lanes through 2050. So my main concern is the drivers heading to the transit center from the south or heading south from the transit center will likely choose Tremont Street because it's about 1 mile with one stop sign at Wisconsin, that being Oceanside Boulevard, and that being Missouri at the south end of the project. So there's going to be 3 roundabouts and pedestrians crossing on Coast Highway, so most people would take that short route that doesn't have any impediment. And studies by the National Highway Traffic Administration estimate that 10 to 30% of drivers are engaged in a distracting activity. And if we use the project's traffic analysis at 3,300, using a minimum of 10%, there'll be 330 cars a day would have a driver that's being distracted on Tremont Street, a residential street. Thank you.
Thank you. Scott Ashton, followed by Jim Sander, followed by James Falank.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. My name is Scott Ashton. I'm CEO of the Oceanside Chamber of Commerce. I'm here to express the Chamber's support for this project. I'm going to make just a few really quick points. First of all is regarding housing. This project addresses our city's housing jobs imbalance. From the period of 2013 to 2023, Oceanside added nearly 10,000 new jobs, but only 3,000 new housing units. And this data came from the San Diego North EDC. So that's a lot of new jobs chasing very few housing units. Second, the redevelopment transforms an underutilized space into a vibrant mixed-use hub, creating a safe and welcoming environment for our residents, visitors, and the employees of our downtown businesses. And finally, this project strengthens our small business community. While tourism is vital, sustained success comes from a strong local customer base. By adding housing and jobs downtown, the project expands year-round support for our shops, restaurants, and services. This redevelopment brings housing, jobs, and vitality to the heart of Oceanside, and we respectfully request your support of this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim Sander, followed by James Falank, followed by Spencer Sanford. We do have 2 podiums, so you could actually wait at the other one.
Okay.
Mr. Sander?
Mayor, Council, thank you for giving us this opportunity to address this matter. I'm the president of the Coastal Townhomes Homeowners Association, which is bordered by Cleveland and Missouri, so it's the closest housing development to the project, just across the road from where Mr. Ham is the president. And I'd like to just reiterate that we're not NIMBYs. We all support the need for housing. Like Kevin, we don't oppose the project itself. We just oppose the
Routing.
traffic and routing problems. Some things have already been said that I think are untrue. The location of the bus terminal will force the routing for the buses leaving that area. There's no opportunity to avoid jamming up Missouri, especially if the buses are exiting from that area. And Missouri cannot support that kind of traffic. The other thing is that it's been stated repeatedly that the bus terminal will provide better access to the trains, and that also is completely untrue. It only provides better access to the coaster with the new access that's being put in there. Otherwise, most people come from the downtown area, but I'm sorry, for the people that are coming in by bus, if they're taking the Amtrak, for instance, they'll have a substantially longer walk to get down to the Metrolink, Amtrak, all those other. Okay, so I'll try to make this as quick as possible here. The very fact that the bus terminals are so far from downtown is going to cause huge problems for the users of the bus. Most people come from downtown. People are on wheelchairs. The current bus location is much, much more convenient. And just to address the white elephant in the room, why was it moved? Why were the buses moved to there? Because the boutique hotel, which is the moneymaker for the project, is located in the prime location in towards the town center, and that forced the buses out to the periphery. So I've already taken up my time, and I appreciate you listening. Thank you.
Thank you. Spencer Sanford, followed by Bob Nelson. Excuse me, James Flunk, sorry, followed by Spencer Sanford, followed by Bob Nelson.
Hello, I'm Jim Felance. I live at 401 South Cleveland Street, immediately adjacent to the project. And I am also for the project. I think it's going to be a wonderful project, but I am going to be directly impacted by the buses leaving onto Missouri Street, which abuts my driveway. In fact, the driveway is going to be, or the roadway is going to be cut in half to make room for the bus terminal. I've been talking to the neighbors, and I got a petition on both online and locally of over 100 signatures of neighbors in the immediate area. You're welcome to look at it. All concerned with the impact of buses being on Missouri Street. I hope I'm doing this button right. Did I just dislocate? Okay, that moves it forward. What was missing from the approved OTC site map? The impact of residential neighborhoods immediately surrounding the whole project. We have not been reached out to, and it has really caused us grief in trying to get our voices heard. But there is a solution. The current routing of the buses going northbound, as you can see, starts and ends on Seagaze Drive. The current proposed plan calls for buses to leave Missouri and go up to Coast Highway. Missouri was never designed for this kind of traffic. It's a local road. It's only 40 feet wide with two 12-foot lanes coming and going. The bus is almost 10 feet wide to begin with. We're proposing an alternate route for routing the buses in and out the way they came off of Seagaze Drive. And the alternative, using Tremont Street, which is what the current planned routing shows. And in both cases, there's no cost or schedule impact to delay on the project. This is a policy decision that could be made by North County Transit District. And in support of what Kevin Ham was saying, this is something I believe the city can negotiate and make a condition of the project to eliminate buses traveling on Missouri, which creates pedestrian and bicycle hazard right-of-way, risk of collision. And as you can see, looking at Missouri, looking east, it's narrow. That's right there at Cleveland Street, looking towards the project site, looking away from the project site up the Coast Highway. Michigan is a similar issue. And if the project goes forward, the city's going to be facing repaving on the roads, possibly having to widen them for safety purposes. And these are unmitigated risks that are facing the city today. Mission Avenue, in contrast, which feeds the site, is 65 feet in width and has handled the traffic admirably for 40 years. Seagaze is 52 feet wide and it has adequately supported the buses coming and going for 40 plus years as well. So we're not saying no to the project. We love the project. What we're saying is we're asking the city council to really make this a requirement and negotiate with NCTD to eliminate buses traveling on Missouri because of public safety issues and just the ambience and community that we live in.
Thank you, Mr. Falance. Thank you.
Hello, honorable city council members and mayor. I'm Spencer Domain Sanford. I'm 15 years old and I'm here to voice my support in favor of the project for the redevelopment of the Oceanside Transit Center. I want to first start off by giving you some numbers just to provide some context to why this project is so important to not only this community, but everybody in Southern California. So the Surf Line, which is the rail corridor that runs through Oceanside Transit Center, is the second busiest rail corridor in the United States, with nearly 3 million passengers annually. And Oceanside Transit Center handles about 1.2 million boardings per year in trains and buses. That's about 3,300 passengers per day. We want to turn this from just a transit hub to an economic and community hub where people can actually, instead of, nobody's going to play or have fun in a parking lot, or at least you shouldn't. But the idea is if you add shops, you add stuff to do, you add parks and places to live, that it would bring a lively environment, a better transit experience, and just overall better connections with better bus connections from the trains. I heard people saying most people come from the downtown. That may be the case. I'm not sure, but if only 10% of the 1.2 million boardings per year go from the train, that's still 120,000 people going from the train to the buses. That's probably a lot more than people going from downtown. But in general, this would greatly help the Oceanside Transit Center, which is an underutilized parking lot, into a multi-use plan that can help not only tourists, but everybody in the city of Oceanside. Thank you.
Thank you. Bob Nelson, followed by G.T. Wharton.
Mayor, council members, I'm representing the City of Oceanside Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee. We have sent you a letter regarding our opinion. We've had 3 meetings with Toll Brothers over the last couple of years to make improvements on the project, including wayfinding signage above the street on Michigan and on Cleveland Street to make it more apparent where the bus transit center is for visitors and locals. Also on Tremont Street, a sign on the parking structure to make it easier to find for the transit users. We've worked with them to include 119 bicycle lockers and racks in various locations including in the parking structure and the parking structures under the housing units. We also had recommended that they relocate that service center building as a focal point to also identify the transit center better. They've also partially unbundled the parking from the apartments to allow one car included with the rent to go towards meeting the California Air Resources Board requirements of reducing toxic fumes. And we've also had them enhance some of the pedestrian paths across the car and bus lanes to make it easier to get from the parking structure to the trains. I was a commuter on the trains for about 6 years. Then it was free parking on the other side, and I was within 50 feet of the Metrolink. So that was nice. Thank you.
Thank you. G.T. Wharton, followed by Kevin Reed.
Good afternoon. My name is G.T. Wharton. I'm a District 3 resident, and I'm co-founder of Strong Towns Oceanside. We advocate for safer streets, better public transit, abundant and affordable housing, and an end to suburban sprawl and car-dependent design. So if you just heard that, you would know why we're very much in support of this project. I'm not going to say what I had written originally. I want to just mention two of the things that were brought up earlier and against the project. We heard a lot about the bus station. So NCTD can verify this, but our understanding is the bus station would be moved whether or not you approve this project today. So if we throw the baby out with the bathwater, guess what? It's still getting moved to be on Missouri. So that would be, I think, a silly reason not to approve this project. Second, we know that NCTD is moving towards fuel cell buses. They will essentially make no noise and no pollution. And there was mention about the ambiance. I mean, you saw a mock-up today of the ambiance. I mean, right now it's a surface level asphalt parking lot. So I'm just wondering how this is not as good as that. So we're going to have trees, we're going to have canopy trees, places to go, places to interact, public art, but somehow we still want it to be a surface level parking lot. Second, more traffic concerns. Now, when you build transit-oriented development, or TOD, you reduce traffic, because if we do not build housing here in the center of our city, where is housing going? Well, it's going to be in what's called suburban sprawl. It's going to be even out into the 15 corridor where people are commuting from Temecula. So if you don't like traffic, don't build any housing in downtown, because everybody will be commuting to downtown, and that's how you get the most vehicle miles traveled. That's how you get the most cars in your downtown clogging the streets. If you want to reduce traffic, then you do this, transit-oriented development, where you put density where it makes sense in our transit center. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin Reed, followed by Liam King.
I'm here to just talk about what's going on in this corridor behind Oceanside Transit parking lot, where the NCT parking lot ends and the Oceanside parking lot begins. This parallels Cleveland, of course, but you can see in this picture here, this is the back side. It's the west side of the parking structure next to the train tracks. It goes from a wide width here, which is perfect for walking down this stretch to get to Mission Avenue, which is, we all know, that's one of the most important sectors of the city where commerce is, all the hotels and restaurants, and of course, that's the way to the beach. It's also a way to get to the beach from Cleveland, but unfortunately, I'm asking is help with the city as well as NCD in putting some wayfinding signs. There's no welcome sign when the person gets off the train that tells them how to get to these places that we want them to go. They're lost. I've traveled all throughout the United States on mass transit, and this is terrible. Right. There's no representation of welcoming somebody. They're lost in no man's land. So this here is a walkway. It's currently there, but my situation is I've walked this way and I see people walk away. It's very narrow. It's next to the parking garage. You can see in this diagram here. At this point, there's also no lighting. But at nighttime, I don't think anybody here with their family walking in this area at nighttime. It's very dark and very dangerous to me, feeling if I was a person coming to Oceanside, I'd be very discouraged. If this is not a good place to walk, then we just close it off. I'm not sure how this got built and why it's so narrow there, but you can see here, this is people actually walking there. Those are people that are a family. And of course, it's no problem, but if you have two people walking in different directions, it'd be really uncomfortable. You can see by the pathway there that is very worn, and you can see a better picture here, that there's no room for a lot of people, so end up walking in the dirt. And this is your front door, basically, your pathway to your front door of City of Oceanside. Is that a good look to what you want to show people when they come to Oceanside? There's no sign on, also, of course, on Mission Avenue telling people there is a transit center and they can walk down this way to the buses and the trains. So I'm asking this to be done as soon as possible, and wayfinding signs, as well as this widened sidewalk.
Thank you.
It can't wait 4 or 5 years until this transit center is built. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Liam King.
Good afternoon, Mayor Sanchez and members of the council. My name is Liam King, and I'm here to talk about a parking lot. This is my first time speaking here, so thank you for hearing me out. I'm speaking on behalf of not only Strong Towns, City Thrive, and the YIMBY Dems, but the people of Oceanside looking for a future in this beautiful city. I stand here today asking you to consider the benefits brought by the Oceanside Transit Center redevelopment project, a long-needed revitalization effort that not only poses economic benefits, but also takes the next step in increasing walkability, transit use, and housing availability, all while decreasing congestion and walking the city towards a stronger future. It's important to understand that over the past 5 years alone, the City of Oceanside has invested millions of dollars on developing its walkability. We spent $2.4 million on the Coastal Rail Trail, $2.6 million on the Coaster Platform, and $3.5 million on the Coast Highway Corridor Project. We spent years and millions of dollars of taxpayer contributions building a foundation for a walkable, connected Oceanside. And the next step to make those investments pay off is transit-oriented development, hence the public's determination to get this project passed. This development brings 753 desperately needed housing units, with 113 of those affordable, an estimated $3.3 million a year to the city's general fund, and $22 million in development impact fees for the city to put towards its myriad of underfunded services and future development. So as I said when I came up here today, we're talking about a parking lot, one that has the potential to have transformative regional, fiscal, and social impacts, one that will give 753 families homes, one that will bring you $3.3 million a year, but most importantly, one that shows commitment to your investments, to your downtown, to your communities, and to our station. Thank you, and I hope you vote for the project.
Thank you. What city are you from?
I'm from Vista.
Vista, thank you.
I go to school in Oceanside. Thank you.
Thank you. Chase Preciado, followed by Eric Bruvold.
Good afternoon, Mayor and council members. My name is Chase Preciado from Wazojuri, and I am speaking on behalf of Supporters Alliance for Environmental Responsibility, or SAFER. SAFER respectfully requests that the City Council refrain from certifying the EIR for the Oceanside Transit Center redevelopment project and instead direct staff to revise and recirculate the EIR. The EIR fails to meet the requirements of CEQA because it does not adequately disclose or mitigate the project's significant impacts to biological resources, air quality, and noise. First, wildlife biologist Dr. Sean Smallwood found that the EIR's biological analysis is incomplete and misleading. His review identified multiple special status species that were never acknowledged in the city's biological report, including the southwestern willow flycatcher and monarch butterfly. The EIR also fails to address serious impacts such as bird window collisions, wildlife movement interference, and traffic mortality, all of which require detailed analysis and mitigation. Second, air quality experts from SWAPE determined that the EIR fails to evaluate toxic diesel particulate matter emissions from construction, which could expose nearby residents to cancer risks more than 60 times above the air district's significance threshold. The EIR's emission modeling also contains major errors that underestimate the project's impacts. Third, noise experts at Wilson IRIG found that the EIR conceals significant construction and operational noise impacts, including those from pile drivers, HVAC systems, and parking structures by relying on incorrect thresholds and unrepresentative baseline data. In short, these expert findings demonstrate that the EIR...
Thank you. Eric Bavold, followed by Ron Dwyer-Voss, followed by Diane Nygaard.
Mayor Sanchez, Mayor, and members of the council. I'm Eric Bruvold. I'm the CEO of the San Diego North Economic Development Council. My good friend Scott Ashton underscored the importance of thinking about jobs, housing balance, and the extent to which Oceanside added about 10,000 net new jobs over the last decade and only 3,000 housing units. So, again, about 3.5 jobs chasing each net new housing unit that you've added. But I want to underscore something important, I think, in your deliberations later today. And I know you've heard a lot about bus routing, and we now apparently have environmental impacts on a fully developed urban site parking lot, but such as our state. And that is the reason that we've lagged in housing production is because we keep coming back over and over and over again and restarting the process. I mean, yes, I think the people that are on Missouri probably deserve an important hearing, but it would have been great to do that 4 years ago when the RFP was circulated, when people developed an economic plan and brought forward proposals to the city and NCTD of what they could do. So whether you decide to sort of restart or move the clock back tonight, I would really encourage you and every one of the North County cities when you're moving into this to try and get things up front earlier on so that the RFPs move forward that are based upon the economics that are proposed and that are going to be done, as opposed to now, which would add 2-3 more years and definitely bring back a different project to you sometime in the future, I guess in the next decade.
Thank you. Ron Dwyer-Voss, followed by Diane Nygaard, followed by Joseph Moreau.
I'm Ron Dwyer-Voss. I'm a resident of downtown, member of Oceanside Sanctuary Church Justice Works team, and vice chair of the Housing Commission. I think there's a lot to love about this project, but it's not ready in terms of housing. It does a good thing in that it brings a lot of housing downtown and high-density housing and transit-oriented housing. But 85% of the housing is for above moderate income residents. Currently, 36% of Oceanside residents meet that criteria. So it's out of balance with where our city is. Here's our current I don't know if it shows up, but it's our current, oh boy. We study this every day. It's our current regional needs housing allocation and how we're doing. The breakdown is that we've met 13% of our very low income housing needs, 15% of our low income housing needs, 58% of our moderate housing income needs, and 85% of our above income housing needs. We're making fine progress for the above moderate income group in Oceanside. This project's original goals included creating affordable housing. Somehow the OTC purpose slid to various affordability levels and balanced use with various affordability. I encourage you, since this is a public project with public land, for you to not confer too much more value into private hands until you get more benefits for the public. I appreciate that we removed palm trees. I think we need more housing for our residents, and this is an opportunity to get more.
Thank you. Diane Nygaard, followed by Joseph Moreau.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and Council. Diane Nygaard, representing Preserve Calavera. This developer has been working real hard to get us to say that we support this project. We can't go quite that far. It still remains a very intense development that will add to the cumulative impacts of downtown. But we've been working with this team for over 2 years. They listened attentively, and they've made continuous improvements. They've raised the bar on a number of key issues. This will be a 100% electric project. They've committed to transportation demand management plans, incorporated into the project conditions for all land uses and beginning with day one of occupancy. They're managing parking in a way that will help reduce car trips. They're complying with the cap, optimized native landscaping, made one building fully bird-friendly and others partially. And last but not least, they committed to 15% affordable units, not the minimum 10% the other projects are proposing. They demonstrate that developers can build a project that addresses community concerns and still makes a profit. But on our list of 8 recommendations, they've complied with all but 2 of them. They do not meet the minimum open space requirements for residents of multifamily projects, and I believe they've locked in the old park impact fees, so they'll pay less than their fair share towards parks. We leave it to you to decide if, on balance, they've provided a good project for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Joseph Moreau, followed by Mike Bullock, followed by John Bickerton.
Good evening, Mayor Sanchez and council members. My name is Joseph Moodle, and I serve as the Vice Chair of the Oceanside Youth Commission and as the co-founder and director of Oceanside United, a youth-led organization focused on addressing the negative effects of gentrification in our city. I'm here tonight to express my strong support for the Oceanside Transit Center redevelopment, a multi-million-dollar investment that will reshape how we live, move, and connect as a community. Our current station is old and outdated. The last major overhaul was in the 1980s, and for a city that serves as a hub of North County Transit with Breeze, Greyhound, Sprinter, Coaster, Amtrak, and Metrolink all meeting here, we deserve a modern, welcoming station that reflects Oceanside's growth and potential. This project will modernize the transit center, build a new bus terminal, and keep the existing parking structure. It will turn mostly parking lots and roads into a vibrant public space, business areas, and 465 new homes, including over 80 affordable, rent-capped units. That's housing for real Oceanside families and not just for developers and investors. I know SB 79 hasn't been signed yet, and I understand some on this council have concerns about it. But regardless of how you feel about that legislation, this project stands on its own. It displaces no one, helps reduce our dependence on cars, and creates a transit-oriented community that supports our local economy, environment, and residents. As someone who regularly travels by rail to San Diego and Los Angeles, I see every day how far behind our station has fallen compared to cities of similar size. Oceanside deserves better. This is a chance to build a station in a city that reflects who we are and where we're going. A place that's accessible, sustainable, and built for everyone. Not just for today, but for generations to come. Let's make Oceanside a city that moves forward together. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike Bullock, followed by John Bickerton, followed by Joan Bachman.
Yeah, Honorable Mayor and council members, I am Mike Bullock. I live at 1800 Bayberry Drive. Please approve this Oceanside Transit Center, including the project on Mission. They will add 114 affordable housing units and 634 market-based units. The 114 affordable units will bring successful families to downtown Oceanside. The 634 market-based units will bring extremely successful families to Oceanside. This, along with the hotel and the office building, will help make Oceanside thrive. Businesses will want to move to Oceanside, even downtown Oceanside. We are a tourist destination, but travel in the U.S. is decreasing due to the actions and statements coming from our federal government. The OTC development will help our businesses and our city survive these difficult but risky times. The following requests that I'm going to make are less important, but please suggest operational improvements to reduce driving that will cause the project to eventually conform to the CARB scoping plan, which is California's climate mandate. Please commend Toll Brothers. They are banking on the market-priced units being filled with families wanting to live in a transit center, knowing full well that trains will be going through the OTC at night. Toll Brothers will include license plate readers to support the future that we must have, as defined by the CARB scoping plan. This project will be fully electric. If approved, there is a statewide environmental organization that will use this great achievement in Oceanside to help urge other developers to rise to this impressive standard. Thank you very much.
Thank you. John Bickerton, followed by Joan Bachman, followed by Ethan Paul.
Good afternoon. I have concerns about ingress and egress of Michigan and Missouri Avenue and how that's going to affect the town site neighborhood. According to the final draft, May 25th of 2025, it stated that at project completion, bus ingress and egress at the relocated bus transfer center to and from Coast Highway to existing routes would be afforded via Michigan and Missouri Avenue in addition to Seagays Drive. I understand this language to mean that no bus traffic will continue up or down Michigan Street and Missouri Avenue east of Coast Highway into Townsite neighborhood. I reached out to Darlene in regards to this for clarification of my understanding. My question was referred to Lillian Doherty, the Director of Planning and Development at North County Transit. Well, I didn't get a yes or no answer. The implication of her response was that the redevelopment is not expected to change the streets that the buses would operate on unless external variables outside their control existed. I'm asking you, the council, to place a condition, if possible, on this development to specifically deny North County Transit from using Michigan Street or Missouri Avenue east of Coast Highway as an access route to and from the transit center bus relocation site. Putting buses through Townsite residential neighborhood is incompatible and dangerous. The streets are narrow, and negotiating two cars side by side is a difficult maneuver. There are already established streets, Mission and Seagays, and Coast Highway that afford this access.
Thank you. Joan Bachman, followed by Ethan Paul, followed by Elliot Levitt.
Hello, Mayor and council members. So public hearings are where we work out the kinks in our system. So there are a number of things I'm going to point out. So I was unable to review the current plans because E-Track ran into a memory issue, and I wanted to look at the specific detail, but I'm very pleased to hear that with my call out, that the trees will be in the right place on the roadways. Condition 93 should include the word parkway in the sentence that includes curb, gutter, and sidewalk. It should read curb, gutter, parkway, and sidewalk in that order. And I want to point out that all sidewalks west of 5. Can somebody go? Okay, there it is. Should look like the upper picture. There's a yard or landscaping, then there is a sidewalk, then there is a parkway, then there is a curb. At the bottom, we have where there is a yard, then there's a sidewalk, and then a curb. We continually see people illegally converting that public parkway. It's public, it belongs to us. It doesn't belong to the owners of that land, and they need to respect that. So we see that a lot. I've been giving this out to the city department since 2009. I will continue to do that, and at some point I would like to see some language on that. I want to point out Lane is correct. All of our streets need traffic calming, and John and I have been, and Sally have been coming to these meetings since the 80s, and we have been fighting for that since that time. Trees are extremely useful for this, so please plant all the trees. And tomorrow I'm going to hear City Nerd. He's a great YouTuber planner with great credentials who does very data-driven analysis. And it would be embarrassing to say that we denied a transit center with some affordable housing in it to him, although I will ask him, last comment, to look into he has a thing called heinous land uses and high-priced condos at transit centers. He'll do a data dive on that, and that would be very useful for us.
Thank you. Ethan Paul, followed by Elliot Levitt, followed by Tyler Suk.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Ethan Paul. I'm a student at Cal State San Marcos, and I'm speaking in support of this project. I believe this project does a great job of balancing the needs of North County Transit and downtown Oceanside in making this a better space for everyone. One thing that I love about this project that I hope you all recognize is the variety of use cases that this project from the Toll Brothers brings to the site. When a station or space feels empty, it can feel unsafe and uncomfortable, and one of the speakers before me mentioned that. The hotel, office, and housing in this proposed project will help ensure that the station feels safe and lively for everyone throughout the day by having people coming in and out at times throughout the entire day. I am concerned that if this project does not go forward or continues to get delayed in an attempt to get something different with perhaps a higher percentage of affordable housing, that when we go to look for state and federal support for an affordable housing project, that we will not find it in this current climate. So I urge you guys to vote in favor of this project. And one just additional thing, one little bit of your time. Changes to the bus routing away from Missouri Avenue would likely put buses in conflict with the many pedestrians this project hopes to receive. Some of the very renderings we were given with this project have significant numbers of pedestrians crossing back and forth over the road that the alternatives propose routing the buses through, which I believe would be a safety concern. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Elliot Levitt, followed by Tyler Sick, followed by Russ Forrest.
Okay, quickly to start, I'm going to get in my ask, make sure I get that in before the ballot. And I'd like to request possibly a side meeting between NCTD developers and property owners from coastal town lofts and maybe any other homes that are within a few hundred yards. My issues, and these are current existing issues, so they're not my concerns. These are issues that already exist. Pollution, there's a ton of pollution. There's like soot on my roof from ever since they moved the train south, and they just constantly run as they sit there. They don't have a plug-in or anything. There's crime, vagrants, crime, and theft. I can give firsthand examples of all, but not time right now. New issues that I hear no remedies for. Construction, noise, and pollution that will come from that. Direct and undeniable negative impacts on property value and health. And I don't dislike the project. I just hear a lot from a 30,000-foot view and not enough about the direct impacts that will most certainly happen. I'm all for the economic development, low-income housing, but what we have is it sounds like all of the profits will be internalized while the expenses will be externalized on the local homeowners. It will no doubt cause property damage and expenses for us local homeowners, soot and pollution. I feel that if you're doing a project where you're going to reap the economic rewards, you have a responsibility to clean up after you and be that any damage that's done to the homes and things within a few hundred yards. That will most certainly take place. So I'm concerned I haven't heard anything about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Tyler Sick, followed by Russ Forrest, followed by Thomas LaCroix.
Honorable Mayor, City Council, my name is Tyler Suk. Also, thank you for pronouncing that. That was great. I'm up here on behalf of VMB Democrats of San Diego County, grassroots organization working to bring down the cost of living that's gotten a little out of hand in Southern California. Population, as we've heard, the population, jobs have been growing. Housing stock has not caught up. This project is a great step in that direction. The best housing we need to build is today and tomorrow. Even though this is a little bit down the road, but this is great. It's a really good step. The addition of over 500 new homes, including 15% affordable units, again, this is fantastic. I would also say, there's a lot more affordable units than the parking lot currently houses at the moment. So we're definitely in support of that. And just again, this is a pretty fantastic rendering. I'm very excited about the transit-oriented development, renovation of the train station. I think it's a great example, and I hope a lot of other cities in the San Diego County follow. Thank you for your time, and please vote yes.
Thank you. Russ Forrest, followed by Thomas LaCroix, followed by, that might be the last person. Okay, thanks.
I'm Russ First. I live 477 South Cleveland Street, near the project. I am not against this project. I moved next to a transit center. I understand the people are going to be there. I understand there'll be more pedestrian traffic. I understand the project will bring a lot of more activity, and I'm fine with that. But I'll be very, very honest with you. What makes no sense to me whatsoever is buses going down Missouri. I drive down Missouri every day. I walk on Missouri. What also makes no sense to me is thinking the bus is going to go down Missouri and then make a right-hand turn on Coast Highway in the summertime or maybe on market night, and that's supposedly a safe turn, as opposed to that bus going to Seagaze, which has a controlled intersection with lights and a tried and true method of getting our buses out that we've used for decades. We're instead going to go down, first we're going to narrow Missouri a little bit with some pedestrian enhancements, and then we're going to have buses going down. I mean, honestly, that just makes no sense to me whatsoever. I think it's an undue burden for our neighborhood. And I went to the Planning Commission meeting, and one of the commissioners who approved it said that I'm going to approve it, but I'd like to see a little less Missouri and a little more Seagaze. So I think everyone knows it's crazy to have buses going down Missouri. I don't think I'm saying anything that isn't obvious. Just look at the engineering numbers that Lane showed you, how much traffic is supposed to be on that street. It's not made for buses. We have a way we've used in the past. Project is fine. Just funnel the buses the way we always have. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. LaCroix?
Well, Mayor and councilors, my name is Thomas LaCroix, and I'm here to support this project. I know there are a lot of concerns for pick a reason, there's a concern. Any change anything other than a yes vote is going to kill the project because it's and that's not money that's probably going to come back. It's an important project to our downtown. It brings in transit reinvestment money. It brings in housing. Right now, it's a parking lot. And if we do anything other than a yes vote, then it will remain a parking lot for longer. And any concerns that we have about equity, about the neighbors, the bus route, I think NCTD is probably more of an expert than us getting up here and talking. And I think that we need this project for the future residents who want to live in Oceanside, or I saw, high school kids talking about the future that they see in Oceanside. Let's try to give that to them. This isn't going to cost us anything. And I hope that we can look past the little nitpicks and think about the greater good of our community. And I know it is difficult to lead in such opposition to almost anything any decision that you make, but please say yes to this project. And that's it.
Thank you very much. This is a time for addressing the council on this very specific project. You did not have to have signed up. If you wish to speak, please rise, approach the podium, state your name, and you have up to 2 minutes to speak. We do have 2 podiums.
Good evening, Mayor Sanchez, council members. I think the project looks great. My name is Shelley Parker. I live in Rancho San Luis Rey. I come to a lot of these things. The one thing that I did not hear, I was not able to find it in the paperwork. When we meaning the city, have brought about hotels, recently it seems like that there has been a negotiation on the TOT tax and when it starts. TOT tax for us is very important, so I would hope there was no delay of collection of the TOT tax in the boutique hotel that is going to go in. I think that any kind of new hotel that goes into this city should pay its fair share of TOT tax from day one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Justin, and it's no surprise to any of us here that San Diego is experiencing a housing crisis, and any opportunity we have to build affordable housing needs to be executed as soon as possible, including this project. That's why I traveled all the way here from Mission Valley to advocate for this project. I'm with Yes in My Backyard, or YEMB San Diego, and I've heard a lot of discussion today about traffic and bus routing that I think is very important. These are very important challenges, but I think they're relatively minor when we look at the overall impact of the project. We've got a beautiful, delicious cake here, and we're ready to eat it, but we're considering throwing it out because we can't decide what color sprinkles we want. It's a little bit ridiculous. We can figure out the how. We have the will to do that. I'm here in support of transforming Oceanside into a transit center and a vibrant residential hub. I also want to know, do we really want to be the people, when we look back on our lives, who decided to keep a parking lot instead of advancing our city in this way? What's more important, maintaining the current property values or people not having a home at all? There's always trade-offs. We have to be thinking of these things. In terms of the environment, should we never build new structures or improve our towns at all because it'll impact the environment? Consider the impact of doing nothing and of not acting. The cake is ready. It's time to eat it.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? I see no one else. Right, one person more.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jessica Cooper. I'm a resident of District 1. I'm not here to say I'm against development. I do agree with most everyone in this room. We need more housing, especially affordable housing. I just want to remind everyone that we just approved the 401 Mission project that's going to be housing. And there's other housing that's being developed off of Oceanside Boulevard right now. That's not necessarily here in the hub of infrastructure, but I do just want to remind everyone of that. And the Regal project and this transit project, depending on how the development goes, I just want you to consider the environmental impacts of those two very large projects happening at once. Again, not here to say we need to postpone this. I just want to remind everyone that we are considering a lot of big changes all at once. And these changes will put impacts on our infrastructure, our roads, our schools, our emergency services, our water system. I just want us to make sure that we're really thinking about this as a whole Oceanside and not these little parcels of land, which yes, they are, but it's our whole community that it is impacting. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Burrell?
T. Burrell, Oceanside. I'm not here representing any particular other group other than myself, if you want to call me a group. But I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge what I understand the developer did, and that is to make a concerted effort to make this age-friendly. And if what I'm told is true, I think this should set an example of what we need to do more of in the future and be more in the proactive mode so that when these things are being discussed and developed, we do walking audits and some other things that ARP is known to be an expert in that realm. So I just want to acknowledge the good I hear secondhand from ARP because I think that's a really important fact. The other last thing I will say is just my personal opinion. I think we need to really seriously crunch the numbers and make an all-out effort to make sure we're doing as much as we can in terms of affordable housing. I'm going to defer to my city councilman, Eric Joyce, to take the ball in that direction. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. The applicant has time for rebuttal. Is that correct?
That is correct. They have about 10 minutes and 37 seconds.
Okay.
And I'm just counting down to 10:37.
I just had a couple little notes. There was a comment made about the roadway, Missouri, being cut in half to accommodate bus traffic. That is not true. We're not doing any off-site changes to Michigan and Missouri, and those will remain at 40 feet, which is consistent with other public roadways around town that are actively used for bus transportation. The other one, there was a request from a gentleman about a public meeting. I think we would be open to doing that if the project is approved and they wanted to discuss impacts and next steps. We'd be happy to accommodate that. Let's see. The recent approval of the Regal project puts additional traffic onto Seagaze, and so while we did review that in our environmental impact report, NCTD will have to speak to bus operations and how that would impact their circulation as reported here. And then just a reminder, we do exceed the affordable housing. I know there was a request for additional affordable housing. It's important to remember that the market rate units on this project combined with those on Mission do help to fund the public improvements that are coming forward. It's not just the transit improvements, it's also improvements to the municipal stormwater system and alleviating those existing deficiencies, as well as delivering the community room and other public benefits. So that's all from me.
Thank you. Staff?
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I have nothing to add. Thank you.
You have nothing to respond to any of the questions that were asked?
I believe that Ms. Arlene Tendick had answered the questions that I wrote down. I think that there may be an occasion to discuss the hotel TOT that was mentioned by Ms. Parker.
Yeah, I think that was probably having to do with if the, I think it was probably related to the beach resort, which was a partnership with the city in terms of our investment in that, and we don't have any funds invested in this project. We had a tiering of the TOT. So do you have a response as to when the TOT would start? Mr. Borrego?
Honorable Mayor and council members, I did actually have a brief conversation with NCTD staff on that point. So just to be clear, at this point, the developer has not requested any sort of TOT subsidy as part of this development. My understanding is that subsequent to the City Council's approval of the project, if that is the case, there will be a separate disposition and development agreement negotiated between NCTD and Toll, and that disposition and development agreement will probably effectuate the timing of the hotel. But the representative from NCTD did confirm, as you know, we would be concerned. They certainly don't want to see a vacant lot sitting on their property, and they will do everything in their power to make sure that the hotel is built out in an expeditious manner and negotiated through that DDA.
Were there discussions having to do with moving forward on the housing, and then also then afterwards, or sandwich in there the hotel, the boutique hotel, so that the hotel isn't standing, land isn't standing vacant until all of the housing is built?
To my knowledge, those conversations haven't taken place, and certainly, that question can be asked as part of the deliberation this evening.
All right, thank you. All right, so to the council, I have no lights. Deputy Mayor Joyce?
I'll bite. Okay, a few questions. Just because that just came up with the TOT and kind of the arrangement, for transparency's sake, because this is involving public land, could a member of either the development team or NCTD describe the financial arrangement that's going to be in place? It sounds like there's a disposition of the land that will be used, so just an idea, just to give the public an idea about what's happening with their beloved parking lot.
There is no disposition of the land. We have a ground lease on the
we will have a ground lease in place for the parcels where the hotel and the residential is going. There is a relatively modest ground lease payment because the value we're providing to do the apartments in the hotel is in the nearly $100 million of public improvements. That's how we're paying for this opportunity. We've never asked for any sort of delay in paying the TOT tax, never contemplated negotiating such a thing. Frankly, didn't even know it was possible, so thanks for the idea. But I'm just kidding. That's not on the table with us. I understand the concerns with the hotel going later, not earlier. Physically, that has to be that way to keep the bus operations flowing, to keep that a viable transit center. We have to first develop, in particular, the residential area where the bus drop-off turnaround will be. So that needs to go first so we can shut down the parcel where the hotel will go and move that activity down towards the south. So the hotel just physically has to go later, not earlier, to keep the transit center rolling along. As far as some sort of a condition on the residential relative to the hotel, we cannot have that. We cannot have the residential sitting there arguably vacant, hoping that the hotel market is exactly where we need it to be to have that capitalized. We won't get any capital for the residential. We won't get capital for any of the transit improvements if there is a notion that perhaps it'll all just be sitting there as dead improvements until the hotel market's ready to go. So the hotel is a very critical part of the overall economic viability of this. We are desperate to have it start as soon as possible. It's going to have to go a little bit later than some of the other improvements. And it's also going to have to be economically viable, and so we can secure some capital for it.
Is the lease arrangement public knowledge? Can you say how much the lease payments are?
I believe it's public knowledge. It's $350,000 per year. It goes up by 2.5% annually. It actually gets bumped in every 5 years at a compounded 13.14%, as if it was going up every year 2.5%.
Okay, thank you. This is a question for NCTD. With the buses being moved, but the parking lot, at least the parking as it is relative to today, is further, do you know what percentage of riders are transferring from the bus to the train versus from their cars to the train?
We do have that information. We can send that to the entire council. I don't have that with us today. You have that with me. I think it was mentioned already before that it's not a very high percentage.
That are
transfer
coming from cars,
right.
That park and get on the train.
Yeah, and I think as evidenced by the way that the parking lot sits now, there's not a lot of automotive traffic in our current parking lot that exists off of Tremont.
Okay.
Most of those are either coaster riders or folks riding Sprinter to the east.
Okay, thank you. Question for our staff. The motion is asking us to remove the specific plan area from the downtown district. Why is that necessary? Or is it?
Thank you for the question, Deputy Mayor Joyce. Just to clarify, the request is to take the existing zoning, which for the project site consists of coastal zoning such as public utility and transportation, and downtown district zoning such as high-density residential, and replace that with the specific plan.
Right. Okay, that's all the questions I have before we go on to comments, if there's other people with questions.
Councilmember Robinson?
Well, I didn't want to get into the bus routing thing, but since you're here, somebody has to talk about it. And to be honest with you, in all the meetings I've had and the many emails, that is the one thing that just jumps out. If there's any negative, that's what people argue about. And I guess, and then somebody said, and this kind of was going to get into the question I had for you, but somebody brought it up earlier, that if there was no project today, if we said, no, we don't want anything built there, we just want to leave 2 ugly parking lots, and that the buses could still get moved to a different site to be more, better access for the trains. Is that possible or a thought?
Yeah, Counselor, thank you for the question, and also appreciate your service on our board when you were there. That is correct. Our board approved in 2008 for the bus bay to move. That has always been, regardless of whether this project happens or not, our intention is to move the bus bay to that end of the facility, to put it closer to our Sprinter and coaster operations. The complication that exists in our current setting is the routing of the buses in the event that we build these other pieces around it. And I would just note that regardless of what the permanent bus solution is, at some point in time, we will be on Missouri because of the way that the construction is set up in sequential order. There will be areas that will be blocked off that we will be unable to traverse as a function of the project during construction, and we will inevitably have to use either Michigan or Missouri at some point in time. But yes, the reason that we paused that project was because we saw greater value in the TOD working with the City of Oceanside and Toll Brothers to bring a more robust sort of project to that area than just to move a bus bay. But the intention of the agency was always to move the bus bay closer to the coaster and Sprinter station. In fact, next month, we intend to have completed an easier walkway to get across from the Sprinter station to the coaster without having to double all the way back to the station and come around. It was all things that were part of the long-range plan for us.
Okay, thank you for that. And because I just feel like if we don't talk about this and get this out, we're going to have a whole bunch of angry people at us, angry with us because we approved the project and didn't solve this issue. But if this project goes forward and you develop the bus situation the way it's proposed, and for some reason we find out that the calls, that's hazardous, it can't, they're 40-foot wide streets, so I don't see why buses and cars can't coexist on a 40-foot wide street. Is there opportunity as a district, would you make a decision to go back to some other model if you had to?
Yeah, I think from my perspective, it would be difficult for me to say that would be the permanent routing forever. I mean, I can't imagine a scenario where 10, 15 years from now, we might not reroute them down another street. I would say that our responsibility in this is to make sure that the street is able to be modernized or managed in a way that would be conducive to all of the traffic modes that exist. The example that I would give you is, I hear a lot about sea gaze. I lived at Mission and Cleveland Street for 1.5 years, and I can tell you that on Thursdays, there is zero opportunity for us to navigate on sea gaze. It is very dark over there, and we have buses that are consistently getting interrupted by traffic that are parked at the parking structure, and also have issues with pedestrians crossing into, try to walking up to Oceanside Boulevard. So it's already an issue for us, and another project that we support in the Regal property also impacts our ability on Seagaze. Depending on how big that project becomes and how much it butts into Seagaze, we already may have to remove bus traffic from some portions of Seagaze to do that. I think the responsible piece of what we need to do is, if we find areas where there's opportunities to improve, we want to work with city management, and we want to work with teams to be able to make these side streets more accessible or make them better for us. I appreciate some of the alternatives that have been put out there. For us, buses making left and rights on side streets through cities are a problem. We need to go direct east-west to the main highway. There is a lot of pedestrian and bicycle traffic on Tremont and other arterial roads that come off of Coast Highway. The best access and ingress egress for us is east-west, in and out. That's what works for us on Seagaze now. That's what would work for us in the future. We mentioned at the Planning Commission, we are always open to alternatives that exist as long as they are safe and applicable to what we're trying to accomplish through what's out there. I would say that just based on the numbers that I heard today about the increase in potential traffic on Michigan and Missouri, our buses would essentially be less than 1/4 of the daily trips that would exist on that street.
And I think somebody talked about the issue of pollution or buses. Can you tell us real quick where you are with your zero emission buses?
Yeah, we have less than 10 diesel buses in the fleet, and we average about 2 a day that we use. By the time we ever turn a piece of dirt on this project, every single vehicle in our fleet will be zero emission or low emission. It'll either be compressed natural gas, or it will be electric, or it will be hydrogen fuel cell. By the end of next year, or by the end of this year, potentially, we won't have any diesel buses left in our fleet. Our coaster locomotives are Tier 4. Aside from the electric vehicles that exist on Caltrain, we have the cleanest rail vehicles in the state. They're Tier 4 compliant, which are 90% less emission reducer than the Tier 2s that we had previously. The last piece of that is our Sprinter operation, which we're looking to transfer over in the next 5 to 10 years to hydrogen fuel cell. So our entire fleet, at some point in time in the near future, will literally be zero emission.
And one last thing, and I'm not sure if I heard the speaker correctly when they were talking about it, but maybe you could just, it would help clarify my mind. When you set routes, do bus drivers have the ability to just deviate from a set route because of traffic or something like that, or how does that work?
They do, but typically what we ask our drivers to do is call into our dispatch, and we let our road supervisors or dispatch sort of put a detour onto those routes. But we do leave a lot up to our operators. I mean, we know when they're off route. We have a computer-aided dispatch program. We know where those buses are. When they get off route, we can see that. But, you know, that's few and far between. It only happens when we have first responders that may be in the area, or we have a road blockage or construction. We may present a detour there.
Well, thank you very much for those answers. I appreciate it. And Mayor, I don't know how you want to do it, but I'm willing to move staff recommendations.
Thank you. Councilmember Weiss?
And I appreciate the comments you were making. I will tell you, I think this is a good project. I know that every project is going to have some issues. My biggest fear is if we do not approve and support this project, what happens after the governor signs SB 79? To me, that would be a raving disaster. So I will second the motion, and I'll be supporting the project.
Thank you. Councilmember Figueroa?
I have some questions since you're up right now. Someone mentioned the enhanced lighting with the walkway near the rail line. Well, the lack of lighting at the moment. Is that something that can be included in the project? And I know we received an email from OPOA in regards to how much officers are called to that area. Is there a history and data with that specific walkway in regards to incidents that have been reported or issues in regards to not necessarily to the lack of lighting, but maybe lighting can deter potential activity along that rail? You know what I'm talking about? It was mentioned, someone showed a picture of it.
Yeah, I would mention two things. One, I lived right over that sidewalk. So I sat out on my porch every night and watched nearly every single person get off the train to make sure we were running on time. I can tell you that we have very rarely had issues in that area in terms of police activity. Typically, they're on Cleveland, between Cleveland and Mission. That's where the majority of the issues sort of occurred, at least when I lived there, and our transit data sort of suggests that. I do agree that we could put some more lighting back there. I would say that when we've entered into those conversations, we have to be thoughtful about the fact that there are people that live there in that complex at Pierside South and North, and there are also people at the courtyard right there. There are lights on the bottom of the courtyard that sort of hit across the track. I do think it probably could use some improved lighting, but again, I think that doing that without having the right input from our citizens might be a fool's errand on that deal, because we would light that area up pretty significantly. I do agree that the sidewalk in that area probably needs to be widened. I would tell you that when that project was originally kicked off, the reason that there's an issue with that is because there's utilities under those buildings. So if in order for us to widen that sidewalk would require a pretty significant utility relocation, and we're up for that. But that's a partnership that we would have to work out between city management team, who's been fantastic, by the way. I know I said that earlier, but I really appreciate the work that the City of Oceanside has put into this and all the partners. And so definitely something we can look at. Never opposed to anything like widening a sidewalk or lighting up an area. I would tell you that we have 24/7 security on that property. They walk the platform 7 days a week. all times of the day. We typically do not have issues on there. The issues that we typically have are trying to get people from walking on the gravel across the tracks, which is not really a disturbance issue. It's more of a rail safety issue.
Yeah. No, thank you for that. I'm not an expert in light pollution, but I have seen some models where the light points down.
Yeah.
And so it's not pointing out. Maybe that can be something that's explored just to deter crime or any type of activity. I know it was mentioned here, but once you start having residents live there and folks in a hotel and someone wants to go, down to the beach at sunrise, or I know that even though the sun doesn't rise on the west, but still, I think that that can be something that we should look at. I do have a couple questions. I saw for the concept design, I tried to look it up while they were speaking. What is a bike barn? I know it mentioned that there's going to be multiple locations for parking bikes and storing bikes, but what is a bike barn?
It's just a big bike storage area, kind of like what you have here at Civic Center.
Right here. So it's like gated, or like you need
it's closed off.
It's a closed off, and so someone will have like a fob, or like you just pay to, how does that work?
Everyone's nodding their head, yeah.
Okay, all right. And then maybe you can, so I also saw in regards to the waiting area concepts, I know it's kind of getting into the details, but was that solidified concepts? Because I did see a fire pit there. I don't know if that's something that, how that would play out, having an open fire pit for a waiting area at the Oceanside Transit Center.
Yeah, so that area, it's over by, are we able to pull that up? Would that be helpful? It would be, so the idea, it's over by the retail plaza.
So it'd be a part of like.
It would kind of be in that area, so there would be oversight on it. It wouldn't be, close to the actual transit modes. The idea, actually, Deputy Mayor Joyce asked us to look into this more and gave us this challenge to enhance these waiting areas. Can you go to do you mind going to our presentation, Darlene? So the thought was really, if you're not a patron of the retail area, how can you enjoy these spaces more? And so we started looking at, how would we use it? What are some best practices in this area? The yellow area. So part of that is identified for retail, outdoor dining, associated specifically with those retail areas. And then the fire pit and some of the chalkboard elements and some of the interactive art pieces are also identified for that area. You can kind of see how we have those two planter spaces. It's looking at how do we utilize this space to make it more engaging for the people who are there who might not necessarily be retail patrons.
Got it.
So, these are just design concepts, so if you all don't like them, then we can kind of flesh it out in final design.
All right, thank you. I did ask leading up to this, because we did get a lot of emails regarding the circulation plan, and there are certain neighborhoods that I'm very familiar with, and I wanted to compare those to Tremont, just know what the size, the street width, and I asked what the street width was for Thunder Drive in the Tri-City area, and it's roughly comparably the same size as what we have here. And I also asked about Division Street, because that is also what feels like a very narrow road, but we do have a transit that drives through there along with Waring, and it's comparably the same size as we saw here, because I just needed to be able to have a visual for my own understanding. As far as like the project goes, I really appreciate the thought put into it. You can tell that a lot of community meetings, a lot of community input went to the establishment and development of what we have before us. I am a fan of the project, but I do have a question. During the June 23rd Planning Commission meeting, one of the commissioners asked whether prevailing wages would be included in this project, and I believe the response from the developer was somewhat unclear to my understanding, though it seemed to suggest only portions of the project may have some agreements in place. I don't know if you can share whether if there is a plan to include prevailing wages, and whether local labor will be prioritized throughout the project.
At this time, we have 100% commitment to prevailing wages on the public improvements, the $100 million of improvements. That includes the office building, the standalone parking garage, kind of anything that's considered the transit improvements. What we haven't committed to is to do the same on the private improvements. That would add
Residential and the hotel.
I'm sorry, yes, the residential and hotel. And by the way, Michael McCann with Toll Brothers developer. I never did introduce myself, so sorry about that. But yes, that would include the residential and the hotel. That would add 20 to 25% the cost to those, and that would kill the project immediately. What we can do is to work with, I think you mentioned, like try and reach out with the local labor unions. We've been in consistent communication with the carpenters in particular toward their facilities, sat down with them on several occasions to try to figure out ways where we can work together without unduly impacting the construction budgets, and yet figuring out a way to make these projects work for them as well.
Okay. So question for my understanding, because it's always important for me that we're always doing whatever we can to strengthen our local jobs to housing balance here and support our regional workforce, just given the high cost of living. But from my understanding, so for the public spaces, because I didn't see that commitment in the staff report, and maybe I just missed it. But in regards to the project itself, for the public spaces, I think we're expected, this project's going to employ about 3,500 temporary construction jobs, correct?
Yeah, I think it might even be more than that. I thought it was like 4,600, but yes.
So out of the sites that will have prevailing wage, do we know what that breakdown is?
I will in a moment when I go back and kind of dig up some paperwork, and I can come back with that information.
Can you please?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then I don't know if anyone else, if you can come back, I know it might take you a moment. I just want to know how many folks on this, within this overall project, will be our local labor. That's important to know. One, as far as like how much out of the 3,500 jobs total that we're going to bring, how many of them will be that we know that are committed to prevailing wages?
Okay, and there was an economic financial analysis done by a third party, which has been submitted to the city. I'm not surprised that, not the city's fault, but it wasn't.
Maybe I just missed it.
Well, it wasn't a big focus, but we'll make sure that you get a chance to get that into your hands and review it. Having said that, I'll come back with a few data points before the vote takes place.
Okay, I think for me, it's important, to support this project is to understand that breakdown. I would like to see how many of those jobs will be prevailing wage, and then make sure that commitment is in writing. For the public spaces, like you said, it's the parking lot, the office space, that we have that in writing.
Okay, understood.
Thank you.
All right. I'd like to make a few comments before I turn it back to the Deputy Mayor. I have heard the neighbors with their concerns since the very, very beginning regarding Missouri, the use of Missouri. Very, very beginning. This is not a Johnny-come-lately issue. We probably had time, I think it must have been 2 or 3 years ago that this was being shown to the community, and these concerns, it was really the only concern because they are not NIMBYs. And I've known OCNA and members of the OCNA and been part of that community group for as long as they were created, which is about, 15 years ago? What was that? 25 years, okay, time flies. So I am concerned about it as well. It's the capacity issues, the unsafety of it. And we do have a representative on NCTD. This could go back to the board. This could be something that would be, I know that the cities of Del Mar, Encinitas, and Solana Beach are constantly working hard to ensure and going to their regional boards to ensure that the best kind of decisions are made, especially with respect to their own cities. So I think this is a doable thing. I really feel that we ought to be able to get some kind of a condition on here that this will completely avoid Missouri. I really feel that that is very, very important to this community. And I don't know why they weren't listened to before. I mean, they have been saying that. I've been hearing them for a very long time. I am concerned also about the hotel and whether or not that will get built. I do see that you want to have that, you know, on a specific plan, but if it doesn't get built, then I have some concerns about that. Is there a way to ensure that it will be built within a certain period of time? I'm hearing you've got to get the residential done first, especially since it has to do with making sure that the transit center is operating, and that makes a whole lot of sense. I get that. But when is that hotel going to be built? I mean, that's for us. We're looking at 2028. I hope you are too, with the Olympics and how this whole region is going to be looking towards hotels nearby. In fact, we're looking to see if we can get some of the teams in Oceanside as well. Adding Parkway to, by Ms. Bachman asked to add parkways to that list. That's an easy one, right? Say yes. Okay, thank you. You will do that. Thank you. So, I mean, that's really the issue for me also, and I think I discussed this during our meetings, very concerned about, you know, just the 2 lanes, one way each way, when we have so much activity that we're contemplating pedestrian, bike, and really increasing a bike use, which we now know would probably include e-bikes, as well as cars. And for me, when you have a transit center, you've got people that are trying to get in, get out, either because they're going to be dropping or picking somebody up, or because they need to park, you know, for overnight, longer term, and then get on a train. And I just have a difficult, I mean, especially people like, you know, me, wanting to hurry up and get there and do that in a transit center. I know that you only had 2 lanes to work with. You didn't want to expand that. You instead expanded, looks like, the sidewalks, which is, you know, good for pedestrians, but is there any way to ensure that we have some kind of bike lane in there, you know, be it making a one-way street in and out, so that we can accommodate bikes better, safety, especially since, again, we've got multiple things going on here, including families that are going to be living here. So you got residential, you've got visitor serving in terms of the hotel, then you've got people coming in and out, especially during rush hour. So I see that as an issue that has not been addressed in terms of, you know, as we said, this is multimodal. Why didn't we also have a place for bikes? And one of the things that Ms. Nygaard indicated, and she's got 8 points here, 8 action points, to include a transportation demand management plan as a condition of approval, which I think makes sense because, you know, we are talking about transportation. So those are my comments for now. Deputy Mayor Joyce.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll start with the pros, and there are a lot of pros to this project. The widened sidewalks and pedestrian enhancements it's like finally a project came with those. That's so good to see. It's something that we should be requiring of all of our projects, especially in the downtown area. The bike infrastructure, positive. The partially unbundled parking, it's an awesome step in the right direction. Shout out Mike Bullock for sounding that horn for so long, and this is a good step in that direction. The safety improvements that will come with having more eyes and more people in the space that currently sits underutilized, to say the least. And then just obviously people getting off of the train into the city that we know and love, and will no longer be just looking at a parking lot. So that's a definite bonus. I do have some challenges with the project, and I am going to hope that we can continue to work on this, because we don't have to do these things in one sitting. The reason we made this special meeting is so that we could think about the project holistically and think about all the parts and make sure that it's the right, that it's ready to go. I'm not saying to indefinitely do that, but I'm saying that there are some things that we should really be taking a look at. And here are the ones that stick out to me. Number one, the proposal to remove this from the downtown district. We currently have a cap on downtown housing units. And every time I talk about development with people, especially with the focused concentration of development going into the downtown area, there's concern because there's a lot happening all at once. We have hundreds and hundreds of units on the back end of this. As was referenced, we also approved the Regal prior to this. I agree that the downtown is where we should be putting the units, but all of this is about, you know, finding the balance of what we're trying to do in the downtown, and there is a balance to be had. There is a place for more units, but the cap is one of the tools that we have to grapple with this growth in a really productive way. And to remove this from the downtown district completely through the zoning change takes that. For one, it just seems like it is going around the issue that we actually, this is clearly part of the downtown. Like, this is high density, a butt to the downtown that we have right now. It's obviously part of the downtown. So I don't know, I'm frustrated that we would take it out. I would think that we'd want to do an overlay or something that keeps it in the district, expands the district to the whole boundaries of the OTC. That way, it is counted in part of what we are developing downtown. That just makes sense to me, and it also can be achieved. The open space, and this is something, and it was brought up that like we're bringing these things forward at the last minute. With all due respect, I've been in these conversations with the developer and NCDD for a long time, and while there have been improvements, including that corner that was highlighted by their team earlier, the corner that opened up and created more space across the street from the center. When you look at the overhead view of this project, the public realm is shrunken, very, very small. And in my opinion, when you're talking about the one place where everyone is going to seek transit in the entire North County, where it's going to all come through there, buses, trains, you name it, it should have place for people to be. It should have lots of place for people to be. And that small green area is just, it doesn't meet the need and what we anticipate the use of this space to be, because we're building it to grow it. We're not building it for what it is right now. So I would like open space to be addressed. Right now it's at 150 square feet per unit, which is 75% of what we expect our downtown development to have. The project does not meet the Oceanside's past inclusionary housing ordinance. And I'm going to put the caveat here. The Coastal Commission has not moved it forward, but we passed a 15% inclusionary ordinance that would require 15% of the units to be low income, not low and moderate. And so right now, as it stands, this is not meeting what we have set to be the benchmark for Oceanside development. I recognize that the Coastal Commission has not yet taken that up, and we are on them about that, but that was passed over a year ago and set our expectation for what inclusionary housing should be in our city. Just to paint the picture of what that means, a one-bedroom unit, which most of the units are, would go for, at low income, $1,570 for a two-person occupancy, which is the typical what you see in the one-bedroom. At moderate, that rent per month is $2,878. it is a very different ballgame and is not accessible in the sense of the word that we were thinking about young people coming back and occupying those spaces or young families. And so it's just, there's a big distinction in calling that affordable. And yes, technically it is affordable under some state law, but under our inclusionary housing ordinance, it is not the same thing. So I think that is an important piece that needs to be addressed. 15% low income should be the floor. I share Councilmember Figueroa's concerns about the jobs, and specifically that the investment that has been talked about, which is a massive investment in our area, in our city, is it going to stay local? Or is it going to go to people that don't live here, that take that investment back to Arizona or wherever else? That funds going into our local economy is critical. And it's a critical piece of why we should be considering this project. So those are the things that I would like to see addressed if we were to give ourselves and the staff more time to work on it. I'm not under the suspicions that we will address all of them. But that, along with the circulation of the buses, I think give us enough reasons to take a breath, have our staff work on it now that we have, for the first time, had the chance to talk about it all together and try and get this thing to where we can all celebrate.
Is that a motion to continue?
It is a motion to continue.
Yeah, I would like to second that. Councilmember Robinson? And it would be for a short continuance so that we can address all these issues that have been brought up.
Yes.
Councilmember Robinson?
Well, that takes precedence, so I won't spend a lot of time, but here again, we're trying to make the perfect the enemy of the good. You talk about open space, you talk about, it's a place where people are supposed to be moving, not sitting. Their transportation, they're moving, it's not a hangout place. I just don't get you sometimes, but I really don't. And I don't mean that disrespect. It
sounds disrespectful.
Well, I apologize if you think it is, but I don't understand your thinking sometimes when there's a good project. The public supports it. There was one issue that they didn't support in mass, and that was the bus thing. I think the director addressed that adequately. Our traffic engineers here, if there's a problem with danger on our streets and buses moving, I'm sure our staff would have addressed it. I get it. I understand that, but I'm sure it's going to get voted on to delay it. So it is what it is.
Councilmember Robinson, I'm not asking for a big continuance, just so that we can have some of the things that were brought up tonight to be addressed. Councilmember Figueroa, did you want to?
I just wanted to address, because it was directly at me.
Right, so that's a point of personal privilege?
Yeah, the point is this. This is literally the first time we've all sat together and talked about the project together. And our job is to make sure that this is the best that it can be, not to kill it and say no to everything. When the Regal came to us, we said we expect something different than what you brought, because this is the first time we got to talk about it. And they came back with a real plaza that's going to make a meaningful difference for 30 plus years in the downtown area. I really believe that this is in the right direction of this project. I think there are some significant things that can get done to make sure that its legacy is foolproof, that it's the shining star on a hill.
Thank you. Councilmember Figueroa?
Sorry. With that notion, I feel the same way. I mean, I hope that it's a short delay. I don't know what the fastest we come back, November 5th, or seems reasonable. For me, on the record, I think another thing that, at least that stood out for me from Deputy Mayor Joyce's concerns was the component of looking at what it would look like to have it 15% low income versus the 10% low income and 5% moderate. I think that's an important thing that we really need to look at, because these are a lot of units, and it is a big difference from the moderate to low income. And again, folks continue to be priced out, and there was a time when all downtown Oceanside was very affordable, and our communities have been pushed out of the downtown area. Again, I think the project is, I'm a fan of the project. I personally don't have a problem with the circulation, but just the two things that I mentioned.
Right, and I think that they said it was like effectively a 12% affordable between the two projects. I think is what I heard. 12% of the available arena. Could you
The
speak in the mic?
affordable we're providing is 15% affordable. 10% of that is low, 5% moderate, which exceeds the current standards that the city has. So no,
It is
it's not
15% then on
It
this.
is 15%,
This
yes.
site, not adding to the other site.
It's 15% total for both sites.
Okay.
Both sites have 15%. 15%.
Okay.
Both, yes, each.
All right, Councilman Figueroa, if you wanted to clarify, yes? Did you want to clarify?
No, I was just saying it is, I know that it's 15% at both, but it's 10% low income at each and then 5% moderate. Is that correct?
Correct,
For
for
each.
each, correct.
Which is how RENA describes it. Councilmember Weiss?
I just want to clarify with staff, what was submitted to Coastal was 15% affordable units. It didn't specify at what
Right.
income level. Is that correct?
Councilmember Weiss, that is correct.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right.
Actually, it does.
Before we vote on the continuance, because that takes precedent over, can we do that? Or Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak again?
May want to hear from me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, and I apologize. I don't know that I have a right.
I saw you, but I didn't see you.
No,
I
and
apologize.
pardon me. I tried to say that nicely, and I don't know that I have a right to be heard, but I think it's important that I have an opportunity to say something real quick. If this gets continued, I don't think we'll be back. I don't think we'll continue. We've been at it for close to 6 years. It's a mischaracterization to say that this is the first time this has all been contemplated. It's been going on for 6 years.
Sir, we're talking about, because of the Brown Act, we're talking about all as a council speaking about it. And we are talking about probably a month.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be back. We just extended our arrangement with NCTD. We were trying to get enough time to give us a little cushion. They gave us till tomorrow morning because I think they're growing weary. My management, they've cut off all spending to this project until I can show them that we have an actual project and that it's economically viable. So to the extent that it is continued, we might go on if it costs us $0 and zero redesign and be more about clarifying things. I think there's been some concerns expressed that are not real issues, like there is a TDM plan that I thought was part of the conditions.
Right.
We're happy to have it in there. We're happy to have completely unbundled parking. We cannot be conditioned on how buses travel off a site. So there's some things that we can work through to clarify and I guess arguably come back. We won't be bringing our consultants. But as far as...
Thank you very much for your comments.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Deputy Mayor, did you want to speak? Can we just vote on the continuance? Because there were some clarifications as well. I think that Councilmember Figueroa wanted to get some numbers and information, and so I'd like to go ahead and do the continuance, but to a date certain.
Yeah, that's what I was going to.
Yeah. So, Mr. Borrego?
Honorable Mayor and council members, if you were going to continue, I would suggest continuing to the November 19th agenda.
November 19th. Okay. And that's just a little over a month. All right. There's a motion and a second.
Is November 19th something that's suitable based on what they said?
Yeah, November 19th. Are you able to come back on November 19th?
You're asking me, I'm sorry.
Yes. Applicant.
At this moment, I don't know.
Okay. All right.
Is NCTD good with them on November? Is that
NCTD is more, they're not the applicant, right?
No, but we hold the land. We extended the agreement 7th time today,
Yeah.
and we agreed that we would do it through tomorrow. We were fairly hopeful that the council would make a decision on this today, because I've been at this organization a year and a half. I have seen the council and other entities provide tons of information on this project, and we've met with a lot of people regarding the things that need to be done. I do agree that some of the comments that were brought up today are important. I think from an NCTD standpoint, we've been waiting since 2008 to develop this land and/or move the bus terminal. And we've done so because we see the value to the city.
Right, so you would be able to be available.
I can only do that if the council will guarantee it will make a decision on November 19th.
Well, I am hoping that the discussions will end in that. That is, otherwise, why would we even vote? I mean, we could always vote no instead, right? I'd rather continue it because I do hope that we can pass this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to extend the agreement, but we're on extension number 7.
All right.
Can I say something? I know that the developer meant, I don't think there's any design modifications that's being asked or anything like that. I think it's just clarification.
Well, except for the routing.
Well, I mean, but in regards to the actual architecture of the concept, I don't
Right.
think that there's any design modifications. being
Let's vote on the continuance at this time. On the continuance? Motion on, is the question regarding the continuance? Yes. Okay. Councilmember Robinson.
So explain to me what happens between today and the continuing meeting, that we can come back and say, here's what's going to happen. Tell me what's going to happen.
All right, thank you very much. City Manager Jonathan Borrego.
Yeah, Honorable Mayor and council members, I mean, I want to set expectations on the bus routing question, because staff has had extensive conversations with all parties on the bus routing issue. I don't think that there is going to be any movement on the bus routing issue. I just want to be very upfront. If there's an expectation that we're going to come back on the 19th and NCTD is going to agree to not put the buses on Missouri, I don't think that's going to happen. I just want to be very clear, because I would hate to see this matter
And then
continue to
hopefully,
that date.
and then my
with
vote
that
would be no on that
expectation.
day. But hopefully, actually, I am a forever optimist. So I am hoping. Okay, there's a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion approved, 3-2. Weiss, Robinson, no.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is item number 4. And that is staff recommends to the Community Development Commission adopt a resolution confirming issuance of a categorical exemption per California Environmental Quality Act, that's CEQA guidelines, Article 19, Section 15332, infill development projects, and approving a development plan, vesting tentative map and density bonus to allow the construction of a proposed mixed-use development project comprised of 206 dwelling units, including 31 units reserved for low and moderate income households, and 5 live-work units with ground floor commercial space on a 1.42 acre site at 810 Mission Avenue. I'd like to go ahead and open this public hearing and request disclosures from commissioners regarding constituent contacts and our correspondence.
If I may, Mayor,
Staff, the
Mayor,
applicant.
before you start, I'm sorry, I was just informed by the applicant that because the OTC project is not going forward today, they have no interest in going forward with 810 at this time.
I'm sorry, say that again, the last part?
Because OTC is not being
Move forward
decided
to
on
get day.
today, they
Yes.
don't want to move forward on
Don't.
presenting, do not want to move forward on 810 today.
Okay, all right. Well, then, thank you. So,
Can I ask a point of
Yes.
clarification? Would it be the intent to have that heard on the 19th, secondary to, was that the request to continue also? Or is it to trail it separately entirely?
They are absolutely intertwined. If we come back on the 19th, then yes, we would come back on 810 Mission as well.
okay, so this is, this then is, we have to do a motion to continue, is that correct? Okay, we'll go ahead and continue this to a date certain, so it does not have to be renoticed. And that is, I'm sorry, the date again was November 19th. Okay, so I move that we continue this continue item number 4 to November 19th, and that is what time did we say? Is that a
6 p.m.
6 p.m.? So this is a regular council meeting date.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion approved, 3-1. Weiss, no. Robinson, absent.
Thank you, and I just want to make sure that the record reflects that this was a request from the applicant.
As requested by
And-
the applicant.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, we now are at communications from the public regarding items not on the agenda. Item number 5. Are there any requests to speak from on item number 5?
We have 3 speakers under item number 5, off-agenda items. Our first speaker is John Bickerton, to be followed by Diane Nygaard, to be followed by Mike Bullock.
All right, John Bickerton, are you still here? No?
No.
Diane Nygaard, followed by Mike Bullock. Is he still here? Yes. Followed by.
Honorable Mayor and Council, last week you approved the terrible 401 Mission project. Of course, the improved public plaza is a benefit to our community, but us Midwesterners would call that just putting a silk purse on a cow's ear. It is not too late to fix it. The project comes back to you October 15th. Earlier tonight, I distributed our 8 recommendations to reduce impacts of these huge density projects in our downtown. They're all actions that you can take that do not violate density bonus law. The 401 Mission project really hasn't complied with any of them. Key concerns: it will cause traffic failures on part of Coast Highway where widening is not feasible. Our city has required them to do nothing to mitigate that. Of course, there are all kinds of things that can be done to reduce car trips. Ernie couldn't even tell you how many bike wrecks were provided, but he knew there were some, and they're somewhere in the parking garage. They need to do a real TDM plan to inform residents of transportation choices, make it easier for them to get around with cars, including things like improved bike access, supporting the Go Side shuttle or subsidized transit passes. They locked in the old park impact fees, asked for a voluntary contribution for our parks. They've only partially complied with bird-friendly design. We recommended further consultation with Buena Vista Audubon to address both the design and the operation of the facility to reduce the impacts on birds. And they waived the minimum requirements for open space for the residents of this project. And they made it even worse by making almost half of the required open space a public plaza, inviting the whole community to use it. Our standards for open space and multifamily residential projects are 200 square feet per unit. They're providing So we urge you to fix this project when it comes back to you next week. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike Bullock.
Yeah, Honorable Mayor and council members. That's the world-famous NOAA plot. That's the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration plot. And that's 800,000 years going back in time. Obviously, that represents a tremendous amount of scientific work that has been published and peer-reviewed over 20 years. NOAA, they are the expert. And what we're seeing there is atmospheric CO2 and temperature anomaly. And you can see they move together, and that's perfectly normal. This is climate change as it changes over 800,000 years. Our species is 300,000 years old. There's another human, Neanderthal, that lived through all of that time, over 1 million years. And there's no problem on that chart except time 0. And I'd like everybody to look at time zero and see what that data is, because it is outrageous and ridiculous and absolutely impossible. It's two values at once for atmospheric CO2. It's around 280, but at the very same time, it's 420. How does that happen? Look at the slope. Nothing like that slope has happened in millions and millions of years. We know that also. The other thing is, if you look over those 800,000 years, you'll see temperature anomaly and atmospheric CO2 are in the same location. Very nice. But that's not true at zero, which is right now. We're living in it. In God we trust. How about physics? I think God, if God exists, he or she wants us to use the brains that we were given and understand what physics is telling us. In physics, we better trust. And this is frightening and outrageous. The same at time zero, the temperature anomaly that goes with our atmospheric CO2 is 15 degrees centigrade. I didn't hear any oohs and ahs. 5 degrees centigrade will destroy our species, most life on the planet. This planet will be just like most planets, every other planet we know of. We know of no planet that is teeming with life. We are on a path to be like those planets. And we don't seem to be very interested in this. So let's look at that spike and see what's going on. In this, the red is atmospheric CO2. It's fairly flat. There's no spike. You can see that over the 800 years plus of the 1,000 years, it's pretty flat. All of that other activity is what temperature does, solar activity. It's us, the Industrial Revolution, and there is no doubt about that.
Thank you.
Yes, and many of our politicians say, yeah, we have climate change, but I'm not so sure we're changing.
Thank you, Mr. Bullock.
I'm not so sure we're responsible. It's time to wake up and learn about this.
Thank you, Mr. Bullock. All right, we're adjourning then to our regular scheduled meeting of October 15th, 3:30 p.m. for a closed session. Meeting adjourned.